Hayes once pointed out that the existence of trust frees the human spirit to be creative, generous, and authentic instead of protective, cynical, and false. Thomas Friedman said, no low-trust society or organization will ever produce sustained innovation. Trust changes your overall sense of joy in the workplace. It brings with it a happiness, fun, and satisfaction. People who trust tend to live longer, healthier lives. And people who distrust tend to die sooner. When people talk about low trust, you see tension, sorrow, pain, and even fear in their faces. When they talk about high trust, everything changes. Their eyes light up, smiles appear, personalities become animated, and conversations focus on positive outcomes. Richard Branson said, more than any other element, fun is the secret of Virgin's success. And you can't have fun without a level of trust, right? All right, so blind trust or distrust, which glasses are you wearing? Notice it doesn't say smart trust, it says blind trust or distrust. Two polar opposites. One time a man went on a flying fishing trip. When he was there fishing, his guide asked him, what do you see? I see a beautiful river, the man replied. Do you see any fish? Asked the guide. No, the man replied. Then the guy handed him a pair of polarized sunglasses. Suddenly everything looked dramatically different. The man could see through the water and he saw a lot of fish swimming around waiting to be caught. So keep this in mind. You shouldn't ever defend the glasses you're currently wearing. You should find out exactly what kind of glasses you're wearing objectively so you can choose what kind of glasses you want to be wearing because you might want an upgrade. So to find out what glasses you're wearing, ask yourself, am I being gullible and trusting too much, or am I being overly suspicious of everything and everyone and trusting too little? What is the internal dialogue in my head saying? I never check up on how people are doing or ask what they're working on. I just trust everything's going good and pretty much just assume the best. Or, I always feel I have to obsessively investigate people's credibility and validate what they say. And sometimes I still do so after we've already signed a deal. I openly and freely share information about anything and everything to whoever's standing closest to me and willing to listen. Or, I believe information is power. I hold it close to my chest and give it out only sparingly or not at all because I can only trust myself. I accept everyone as trustworthy. I feel eager and excited to think about working openly with anyone right away, even if we just met. Or, people have to earn my trust before I'm willing to work with them, or even be nice to them. Even still, I'll keep myself pretty guarded because they'll probably let me down in a big way sometime soon. And you should be thinking...
Is this the like wrong way, right way? I don't get it.
Yeah, this is... They're both bad.
They're both wrong.
I'm just kidding.
Threw me off there. I was like, wait, there's no right way up here. All right, last one. I trust people will do what they say they'll do. I've been burned pretty badly in the past, but I don't want to be intrusive or annoying, so sometimes I avoid conversations about people meeting their deliverables and responsibilities. Or, I tightly supervise my direct reports, or my children or others, and thoroughly and frequently check up on their work, which usually piles more onto my own workload. Instead of talking about things, I'd just rather do the work myself because I'm better at it. Third alternative, smart trust. Alex. In order to employ smart trust, you must be able to believe in trust as well as have the discipline to analyze someone's competence and character. One without the other isn't enough. The infamous trust matrix.
Take a picture of this one.
Taking one of the last ones.
This one? It's pretty easy. There's only two things. What's that?
Access to the slides, do we need that?
Sure. All right. So this is the trust matrix. I think some of you have seen. Who's listened to the smart? Yeah. Anybody else? No? Yeah. Ben has. All right. So here's the propensity to trust. This is your ability to believe in trust, and here's analysis. Most people in indecision or no trust is because they don't trust and they don't analyze anything, so they just stay there and they don't make a move on anything. A lot of people that don't have any joint ventures, strategic alliances, contingency deals are right here because they're afraid to move. They just sit there. Too much trust, no analysis, you land in gullibility. Too much analysis with no trust, suspicion, and distrust. You want to be here with a high ability to trust and a high amount of analysis and have good judgment. So I kind of made up my own little picture here. These are like two little borders. Imagine like if you're going from here to there into smart trust. You're most likely going to squiggle around a bit. You know, you'll probably dip into gullibility here sometimes, you get burned. And then what do? You oscillate. You go the polar opposite and you go into suspicion. You go, you know, I'm not going to trust anybody anymore. You know, screw that. I can't trust anyone. And then you end up oscillating between these two and you never make it here. But you have to figure out how to get there eventually. If you don't know stuff and you don't know what to analyze, you got to figure out what that stuff is. right? Or if you're finding that, hey, my inner dialogue is very untrusting, you got to start figuring out how to get yourself to believe in trust and how to actually extend trust to others so you can create trust. So obviously, ideally, you want to go straight to that. But I put these here because I think no one's perfect. You're going to dip into the two of them now and again. But the more you're aware of it, the more you'll start to go, oh, I'm dipping into that one again, or I'm dipping into the other one. Let me just go to smart trust. Let me do my analysis, and let me believe that I can trust this person and believe that there are trustworthy people out there. So the 5 steps to smart trust: choose to believe in it. Start with self. All right, so now that you guys have had some internal dialogue about all the people that you think are untrustworthy in your mind, turn it back on yourself for a second and think about how trustworthy you've been perceived by others. Not necessarily how trustworthy you think you are, but how trustworthy you've been perceived by others. And I think that's important because if you don't start with yourself, you're always going to be looking at other people and how they're performing and what they have going on. But as long as you're always open to looking back and going, okay, can I improve every day? Did someone give me some feedback that I can use as a cue? Like, oh, maybe I let them down in this one little thing I didn't realize. I was 5 minutes late, I didn't know that was a big deal to them, or whatever. Number 3, declare your intent and project positive intent onto others. We're going to get into declaring your intent in a second, but that's just a little prefacing thing there. Do what you say you're going to do, and lead out in extending trust to others. A good leader, good manager, good owner of a company extends the trust first. They don't wait for trust to start happening without them. All right, so this is the ideal commitment and delivery matrix. I know Ben can talk about this a little bit with some contingency deals, but someone who's low commitment, low delivery, they're just playing it safe. They don't want to get into too much. They just kind of do that. Some people that do high commitment, low delivery, con artists, scammers, whatever. Contingency marketing has built into it kind of a trusting thing because you're mutually invested in the things. Like, why would someone come and try and market for you? It's only a positive thing, really, unless they market in some weird way and screw things up. But what a lot of people, I find, do is they do low commitment and high delivery, thinking that's a really good thing, to under-promise and over-deliver. But what happens when you do that is you're actually not communicating very much. And when it's time to receive what you earned, people don't perceive that you really earned that much because you never really committed to very much. So when you delivered it, they're kind of like, oh, maybe it was a fluke, or just kind of happened. I don't know if I should give that credit to this person. They never committed to it, so it could have just happened without them. Who knows? But if you have high commitment and high delivery, and you can do that over and over and over again, people will start to really feel like, wow, this person's going to deliver on that. Anything you can add on that?
Yeah, definitely setting the expectations up front is a big one.
In the beginning, do you think which one do you think you did, like when you had some of your early contingency deals? Were you doing like this one or this one? Were you committing a lot with low delivery, or were you low commitment with high delivery?
Yeah, probably number 3, I would say. Yeah.
And how did that go?
Not good.
Not good? Yeah. So what would they say? Like when you deliver a massive result, but you didn't really set the stage, like, I'm going to deliver this massive result, what was their attitude like, and what kind of transpired once you got into it with them?
Yeah, so what you said before, they're not going to credit you for what you did. So
that's real. What I said, it's not just some theoretical.
No,
thing.
it's absolutely real. Cool. Just with the high delivery, high commitment, the expectations that you set, like upfront and then continuously throughout the relationship, are important. And I always like to get any conversation in writing, not necessarily a contract, but at least we have something to reference, because when moving forward, it's like, oh, I thought you said this, I thought you committed to that, and it's like, no, I didn't say that, and then you didn't have any reference, then distrust is created. So having that high commitment, high delivery, but having some sort of reference so you can go back and say, no, this is what I've committed to.
I keep wanting to ask you for like a real example, but I know it's kind of dicey to be bringing that up. But if you think of one, let me know.
Trust me.
There's a lot of examples.
You got one? Yeah, sure, Jeff.
Well, he does have
Go for it. Michael.
I guess like what's running through my head, or a question that I'm coming across here is, in the early stages when you're trying to build that trust and you're trying to get to the point where you can kind of lean on each other in a reliable fashion, I've always kind of leaned more towards a low commitment, high delivery, because the trust isn't there for me to commit yet. So how do you?
Well, you want to have a high commitment to something small that you can deliver. So like, whatever that is, like, hey, I want to meet you at lunch, I'm going to buy, and, we're going to have a great lunch, and I'm going to be there at blah, blah, blah sharp. So, hopefully you'll be there on time, but I'm going to be there on time. You do little small things so that they can go, wow, this guy's a straight shooter. But it's not like you're not going to deliver on that. It's something where you just get in the habit of committing exactly what you're planning on delivering and actually doing it, and do it in little incremental steps so that that person goes, wow, this guy just is consistent. He invites me to lunch, he says he's going to be on time, and he does it. But then if you're not on time, you have to analyze yourself and go, damn, I'm not doing it again. Like the thing we were talking about a few minutes ago. Because you'd be surprised how much that kills trust. Those little subtle things, it makes a big difference. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. 2 final closing thoughts on trust from Charlie Munger. An enormous pleasure in life is to be rightly trusted. He's Warren Buffett's partner. And take the high road. It's uncrowded, so you won't run into heavy traffic.